Hey everyone, Adrian here from Doug Mel Harcourts in Wollongong. Today, coming from a position of a buyer, just giving a couple of tips for buyers out there looking to buy property. A couple of things that I'm seeing quite often. I'm going to get really back down to basics today. Not about buying the best property or for the greatest price or whatever. I'm really talking about being prepared as a buyer. Too often I see when buyers are coming to my open for inspections or booking for an appointment to see a property that they're just ill prepared. They don't have things like their finance in line, they really don't know their proper borrowing capacity, and they're really jumping the gun on a few properties. They're finding a property that they'd like, they're making an offer, and then only finding out that they still have to get their finance approved. They haven't got a solicitor in mind. There's a few little bits and pieces that I want to talk to you today quickly about that. If you're a buyer and you're looking in the marketplace to buy something, the first thing that you should do is go and see a representative from your bank or a broker and see how much you can borrow. I personally would avoid anything to do with an online parameter that says this is how much I can borrow and use that as your basis, mainly because that's just an indicative of what you can borrow or potentially borrow. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've been approved for a loan. The reason being is this: you go out on a particular Saturday or a weekend, you find the property of your dreams and you want to buy it. However, you go and make an offer and it gets accepted. Great. But little do you know that if you're just going on the basis of that you've got an indicative of a website that says I can borrow based on the numbers that I put into the screen, it doesn't necessarily mean you can go ahead and buy that property. Some banks require different amounts of deposits, and really if you haven't got that pre-approval done, you won't be able to move forward on that home. And if you can, it takes some time. I don't think that there's too many people out there that can honestly push through loans within a couple of days. I really think that's just marketing hype. Make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row and you've got all your finance pre-approved, and the bank's more or less saying, go out and find a home, and when you do, we will lend you the money. Tip number 2 is when you head out there in the marketplace, make sure you see a number of properties. Too often I see buyers commit to a property and it's one of the first properties that they see. They haven't researched the market well enough and taken their time. This current market certainly allows you time to do some research and certainly make a really educated decision. Don't rush into it. Make it a great choice, make it the right choice and the choice that fits you. And finally, when you're out there looking at property, find out all the bits and pieces that you need to know from a solicitor. So we've already talked about finance, we've already talked about doing your market research and being prepared. Get a solicitor in mind and maybe ask them a couple of questions as to what a contract certainly looks like, what do certain contract terms mean, and get an understanding around this, because if you're a first home buyer in particular, this can become very overwhelming. Anyway, I've got to run. I've got an open house that I'm just about to start here now. So if you need any more tips or hints, make sure you give me a call or shoot me an email. Head over to my website, www.adriandemico.com.au. Chat to you soon.